When you stay in a private room, the urgency to leave is much less than when you're in a dorm room. I had a much shorter day, kilometres wise, so I left later than normal. The weather had changed today. It was cloudy and overcast. The day it involved a continual climb. I was again walking above the clouds, which were pierced by the mountain peaks. The forest had a real medieval feel. It was misty and it felt like the Knights of the Round Table might jump out of the trees. There was every shade of green you could imagine. My preconceived idea of Spain was a dry, hot and brown country. This beautiful forest gave me a new view of typical Spain. Delicate little purple and blue flowers lined the path. Serendipitously, I was listening to The Lord of the Rings, and the chapter I was on involved Treebeard, and I felt a total immersion in the story. I entered Tricastella, literally means three castles, and there stood the famous 100-year chestnut tree, one of the most photographed spots on the Camino. I walked through the little towns. They were picturesque, but most involved some form of cattle farming, so the aroma was, how would you describe it, let's say earthy? I arrived at my next spot, and again, I booked a private room in a town called Pintin. It was very comfortable. However, I'm a bit apprehensive as this is the last spot before I walk into Sari, which is about 9 kilometres away, and apparently the starting point for many pilgrims. It's been really difficult to book accommodation from now until Santiago, so I suspect from what I've heard there are many pilgrims on the trail at the moment. One unique feature I found at my little albergue was these foot massage chairs, which I'd normally just ignore because I wouldn't think they'd do anything, but they had an amazing effect, a really relaxing, much needed massage. Today's tip, I'm going to focus on the weather, and I've experienced the full range of weather on the Camino. On the Meseta, you can be lulled into a false sense of security as each day has blue skies and is warm. And if I did the Camino again, I would make sure I checked the weather forecast, as once you reach the mountains, the weather can change quite dramatically. Today I walked 32,325 paces, I climbed 49 stories and travelled 22.2 kilometres. I stayed at the Casa Sins in a private room which cost €40 and I gave it 3.5 stars out of 5.